G'day crypto goers. We are now speaking to Mark Luther of BitTruth. This is an interview that I've been waiting to do for a long time. Mark, thanks for joining. Welcome to the show.
More than honored to be here, Adam.
For our viewers, I just want to share the background of our relationship, our working relationship. Mark and I live on other ends of the world, and we both started our crypto journey where we were both simultaneously putting out videos against crypto scammers, and there was a fair few out there just before that big bull run. And concurrently, we were both heavily into mining. And today I'm really going to tap into Mark's incredible background into GPU and CPU mining. Mark, before we go down that path, how did you actually get into crypto right from the beginning?
It's like a long story. 3 years ago, like in the end of 2016, I told my father, okay, can I get a loan to get, a computer, okay, to buy like a GPU mining rig. At the time, I knew nothing about mining, nothing about cryptocurrency. I just understand Bitcoin and, this is going to make me rich, like everyone started. So I started, and then I started mining with two GPUs, as most of you know, and, I started mining. And from there, I started learning more about mining softwares, more about cryptocurrency trading. And 3 years moving on, it has changed everything, the whole perspective and viewpoint, on investing, and all that stuff, in terms of business.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your channel right now, and mate, you've put out so many videos. And to your subscribers, if you haven't met me, I'm Adam Stokes, and I've been heavily involved in ASIC mining, and I'm in a situation where I can actually put in ASICs, lots of ASICs. I've got 16, not all 16 are running at the moment because different coins are giving different returns and ASIC miners sort of expire. But where you and I, Mark, have gone on a different path is, whilst I've had the opportunity to get right into ASIC mining, where I very much lack is GPU and CPU mining. So again, with ASIC miners, they're heavy, they're noisy, they're loud, they use a lot of electricity, they arguably take up a lot of space, not because they're physically big themselves, but because everything around it is in the ventilation, the electricity it uses, the noise it creates. You kind of need an area to mine. But with GPU and CPU mining, I've been watching your videos, and it appears that they use a lot less electricity and a lot less heat. How can I understand the difference, though, between GPU and CPU mining? What is that difference?
So the difference is, you can actually mine with your GPU and CPU at the same time, no problem. But, the CPU, okay, which is the brain of the computer, like most, people say, it's like, it works and performs at most variety of calculations. But the difference between, a CPU and a GPU is more specialized. It's more about graphics. It do really specific computational tasks, okay? And, it has much more processing cores, okay, and much more processing power. That's why you see GPUs mining at 100x more performance than CPUs. I think I'm being, exaggeration up in here, but of course GPUs are always more stronger than CPUs. And, CPUs were like in the old days, most people used CPUs to mine. But then as it became more difficult to mine cryptocurrencies in general, okay, people started, going to GPUs and using, modern day graphics.
So which one would give me a better return? Which would be better? If I was getting into mining and I couldn't afford ASIC miners, would I
Yes.
be focusing more on GPU mining or CPU mining to make money?
Now, of course, most people when they start, okay, they start with CPUs because most people don't have the budget to spend 400, 500, 600, or $1,000 on a single GPU. Okay, and GPU is becoming much more pricey because, some GPUs are the new generation, like the RTX generation, okay, and some of the AMD, like the Radeon VII. Basically, you see these mining rigs, you don't see like multiple CPUs because firstly, CPUs don't have a great, return on investment. Okay, that's firstly. Secondly, most people, okay, we tell them just to turn off your CPU. Okay, don't burn it. Don't put any, heavy lifting on it. Keep it just in there, okay, to process things. Let the GPUs do all the work. That's why you see mining rigs with, 3 card or 6 card rigs, okay, with all GPUs. So GPU mining, it will have more return, okay, than CPU mining, and of course, much more efficient, might as well say.
Well, I guess this leads to the next question. If I want to make money, which coins do I mine?
Well, in terms of mining, I made just a video, a couple of weeks ago. Okay, it's actually a week ago. Okay, about the top five best, cryptocurrencies to mine either with your CPU or GPU or both. Okay, now in that video, I look at the cryptocurrency, I look at its rank, I look at its market cap, its technology, what exchanges it's listed on. You look at many factors. So when people tell me, Mark, what should I mine? I really want to get into the GPU mining scene or
Top five
whatever thing.
cryptocurrencies.
When you want to start mining cryptocurrencies, you have two types of mining. Either you mine, a big cryptocurrency, for example, you're mining Ethereum, okay, with your mining rigs, you're mining Ethereum Classic, or speculative mining, the other way of mining, the more risky slash reward. What I really like about GPU mining, okay, in particular is that, it has one of the lowest risk to reward ratios. The reward is really high, but the risk is really low because at the end of the day, you're mining with your GPU, and your GPU can make X amount of coins, and the X amount of coins could have different value. So you have two types of mining, stable mining, okay, with Ethereum, and speculative mining. Now, right now we do more of speculative mining because it's more profitable, it's more, huge. So I wouldn't particularly say what coin to mine because there's a lot of passionate communities out there that, if you speak about a certain cryptocurrency, they might, say, why didn't you speak about that cryptocurrency? So we always say just do your own research, look at the cryptocurrencies, choose what you think has the future and potential. For example, I have a friend of mine, okay, in the Discord community who used to mine Raven coin on his rigs. And I remember I've been, since May 2018, okay, mining Raven coin, but I did not have, huge rigs. As I told you, I have only two GTX 1080s. So he mined them solo mining. It's another type of mining, okay, on a certain cryptocurrency. And he literally got 5,000 Raven coins per block. And Raven coin right now is going for 5 cents, I think. So imagine the amount of profitability, just a couple days, 5,000 Raven coins. So, and Raven coin right now is listed on Binance and it has, huge adoption. So speculative mining is one of the best ways to mine and, the biggest, and most profitable results by long term.
Yeah, I've got to actually publicly thank you for your work on Ravencoin. So, as a
Yes.
long-time follower of your channel and listening to your videos, a while ago when you mentioned Ravencoin, I didn't mine it, but I just went straight out because it was so cheap. I can't remember. It was like I don't know, like a tenth or a hundredth of a cent. It was like ridiculously cheap, and I bought
Yes,
thousands of them. How much was it?
it was like just Satoshis, like,
Yeah,
10,000 Satoshis or less.
yeah, and
No, less.
I bought lots of them, and they have gone up considerably comparative to what they were, like many X's. So, Mark, I'm very grateful for the amount of money that you made me, and if we're ever in the same hemisphere, I certainly owe you at least a coffee, probably lunch, and if you get old enough, a beer. And I just want to make reference to the amount of work you've done as such a young crypto goer. Mark is, you're a much younger person than I am. We are not only a whole planet apart or a hemisphere apart where we are geographically, but certainly in years apart. But I like how the crypto community brings people like us together. Now, moving back to, I guess, this mining world, and what I do in my mining rig, I've got ASIC miners out the back, and I typically run them because I've got a huge solar farm as well, and I typically only run them now when the sun's out. Now, my solar farm is not enough to run my entire ASIC mining rig, but it's certainly enough to offset the cost. When I'm doing GPU and CPU mining, if I was into that space, how much electricity are you using when you're setting up these mining rigs at your end? And not only how much electricity are they using, how much heat and noise are they creating?
Okay. So in terms of electricity, it's not really much. Now, I have been some time not really measuring the electricity because, I'm more focusing on accumulating cryptocurrencies and mining them. Okay. And then I pay, electricity bill, okay, from my emergency fund. Okay. And emergency fund, I always, say to investors and miners, if you want to buy, for example, a $2,000 miner, buy, okay, a $2,000 miner and have $1,000 extra to pay electricity, because at the end of the day you want to pay, okay, the bills, okay, on your end, because the whole mining scene is about accumulation. You accumulate the cryptocurrency, the price, of that cryptocurrency goes up in value, you make bigger profit, and you will be able to pay much more times electricity, and you can keep this cycle. And cryptocurrency mining is really scalable in terms of that. But of course, the other two factors that I really hate, or actually three factors, is noise, heat, and of course dust. Dust. If you live in areas, it's like desert areas, or like places that you don't have a lot of rain, or all types of dust. You have dust worldwide, but anyways, if you have a lot of dust in your area, I suggest you start cleaning your rigs monthly, or at least like weekly. So in terms of dust, you have to focus on that, because dust equals heat. Okay, when dust falls on these GPUs, okay, they become more, they have more heat, they output more heat, and if you go above 70 Celsius per card, okay, it's not really good for the card. Longevity, okay, for your cryptocurrency mining rig is key. So dust is, the most dangerous thing. Okay, after dust we have heat. So, at the end of the day, your mining rig will produce heat, whether it's like 55, 65 Celsius. Okay, don't let it go above 70. You can actually control the temperatures. But of course, with heat, the problem with heat is that, if you're living in a condo, for example, or living in a tiny space, that heat is going to affect you. For example, on summer days, I would have, my computer, I'd have like, my RX 580, 8 gigabytes. Okay, I have like two GPUs. I would have it like mining on the side, just like making some, little of, Ethereum, okay, mining Ethereum. It would be really hot. Like my room is a bit bigger than, just a small room, okay, like a college dorm, but it's really hot. Like I'm sitting beside the computer, and it would be, the amount of heat it, outputs is really huge. So if you're living in a tiny space, heat is a big problem. So that's why you need to install ventilation. Ventilation could cost thousands. That's why I always say you have like an emergency fund or some money. You don't want to go out of business. Businesses go out of business because they don't have any money. Now, the last factor, okay, that I think is the biggest problem is the noise. Okay, unless you have a garage or a basement, or some other remote facility out there, okay, noise is going to be a big problem, especially if you're like a heavy sleeper, okay, a light sleeper, sorry. You cannot sleep if there's like tiny noise. That would be a really huge problem. So look at your lifestyle, look at your, life in general, and compare it with what you could actually do, okay, in the cryptocurrency space and in cryptocurrency mining. That's the most important factors.
Yeah, heat is a good point. So when we amplify this with ASIC mining, I laugh when people say, "Oh, you won't need to worry about the heat." As an example, if you remember, I think it was Ice Rock Mining. I saw one of the videos there, and I did a video on it as well, where they said we're going to set up these big ASIC mining rigs in a cave, and it's going to be okay because caves are cold, and that will take care of the heat. Well, even as a small-time ASIC miner, I laughed at that, because you could set up a mining farm in an ice cube, and it would melt that ice cube if you did not have the proper ventilation. And certainly on my mining rig, and of course it's amplified with ASIC miners, I have an industrial fan that I had to hardwire into my power supply, and it's a $1,500 fan, and it's not even an air conditioner, it's just a fan. Now on top of that, I actually do have an air conditioner, but I don't actually run that, because I try and run, I'm lucky now in Australia it's winter, so I can run all my miners in winter without a huge problem with the heat, but I still need the fan on, and in summer it goes to a whole new level. So heat is a huge issue, and it's of course amplified with ASIC mining. But I'm interested to hear that even when you're using GPU and CPU mining, it's still creating heat, and dust is certainly a problem. I know certainly with my miners, every week or so I have to take them apart, and I put high pressure air through them, and the amount of dust that comes out of these things, Mark, it is just beyond comprehension. And if
It's a whole other level.
Yeah, it's out of, I don't even know where the dust comes from because I'm in a low dust area. So another layer I actually put on my mining rig was I actually set up air purifiers. Now I can't be sure how much that does, but yeah, I could afford it, and I got many air purifiers, and I purify the air before it goes into the through the mining rigs themselves, just before. And again, I don't know how much that makes a difference. It's hard to gauge because at different times of year, there's different types of different amounts of dust in the air. You know, because when it's hot and dry, there's more dust, and when it's sort of cold and wet, you've got more moisture, so dust is suppressed. But from what you've described there, I'm guessing if we've got more difficulty now on these on pretty much all the algorithms, except for, of course, very young and new algorithms like you described with Ravencoin. The difficulty is relatively easy to start with. How does this transpire or translate onto laptop mining? Can people effectively, through the GPUs and CPUs on their laptop, can they make a profit out of mining on a little laptop, even if it's a gaming laptop?
Laptops were not really built, okay, if we per se, okay, for mining or even gaming, okay, nowadays. But of course, laptops were built more for lightweight business dealings, meetings, all that stuff, portability. Okay, but not business manufacturers, gaming manufacturers, okay, we're looking at how could we actually make laptops more for gamers. So they started, manufacturing laptops like the Lenovo, okay, Legion, okay, laptop, okay, with a GTX 1060, for example. Okay, and they're starting making these laptops, but the problem is, okay, even with gaming, okay, GPUs do not use and harness their full ability, okay, depending on the GPU. For example, if you're using an RTX card, okay, for example, on GTA 5, for example, another video game, I don't, think it will use 100%, okay, for its performance, as far as I'm concerned. I believe it will use like 80%, 70%, and even then it would not really, throw out a lot of heat because, you could actually, overclock it. For example, you could actually turn on the fans a little bit. So it's not a really hard task as mining. Mining, it puts everything on 100%, pushing everything to the limits. Laptops are not built for the limits, okay, and laptops cannot even, control the heat because all that heat, okay, that is produced by GPUs, okay, will affect the whole laptop because now they're more compact, they're more thinner. Okay, that means, the GPU that is integrated will affect the CPU, will affect the motherboard, okay, and your warranty will wear off and you will not make a profit and there's no return on investment, okay, no profitability at all. So if you have a laptop, okay, and, you want to start mining, do not start mining. It's from me, okay, from me. Now, if you want to do like mining on a CPU, okay, something that really is like, for example, a small cryptocurrency speculative mining. Now, even though it's like, I call it hobby mining, you can try it out maybe a couple days, but do never, okay, put it 24/7. It's not efficient, it's not good, and as I said, the warranty might wear off. And another thing I want to tell you is that there's problems with the systems, okay, systems, okay, like, on Windows, okay, some of them have 32-bit, so 32-bit, okay, will have problem to actually launch in the mining software. So you're going to have other software problems, and there's many problems in general. Just stay away from laptop mining.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and you give a good example about, for some of the games, if you've got even if you've got a gaming laptop, they're not actually running at full capacity, and they might be
Yep.
at times, and like in a big battle scene or something where it's
Yep.
they're playing and something very intensive is happening, but it's not maintaining that intensity. Whereas
Yeah, it's not consistent.
that's right. Whereas mining, you just crank it up, and certainly even with my ASIC miners, you can, sort of overclock them where they're actually working. You increase the frequency, and they're working really hard. But even then, the only time I would do that is when the ASIC miner is coming to the end of its life. I know it's going to die soon, so you just crank it. But as you mentioned, it's still dangerous because you're running all this heat, and when you've got electricity and heat in a tight area, it's dangerous. Anyway, this all leads into how people can come into the crypto space. And before we sort of close off with your guidance on newbies coming in, And even if they're not new, if they've been in crypto for a while and they're in a position now where they want to mine, I remember when we first started our journey together but worlds apart, there was a lot of cloud mining sites out there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I actually did invest in some cloud mining sites. Genesis was one of them, and I actually did make some pretty good returns very early, but in the end, all those contracts died.
Were terminated.
That's right. What would you what's your thoughts on cloud mining these days? Not that there's many left. Would you
It
recommend anyone get into it?
it's funny because it's not funny because people are losing money. It's funny because I'm in the works of making another video on Genesis mining. I swear to you, I've screenshotted this and I cannot believe what I saw. And this is coming from Genesis Mining, the supposed, okay, reputable company, right? So in terms of that, they're making an advertisement on YouTube, okay, on a video from 2017 about their data centers, an interview from that time, and right now they're making an advertisement in 2019, and we do not have any proof that these miners exist because in middle of 2018, okay, they just closed down operations. Sorry guys, we have to sell these miners, okay, to other people. So what happened is, they terminated the contracts and now they're coming back again because the cryptocurrency market is picking up steam. So more people are entering the cryptocurrency market, and these, I call them scammers because at this point, you can visualize, they gone and came back. Why would you come back? It's really exciting to just see this whole game unfolds in front of me. And there's a lot of cloud mining scams, okay, out there, and I'm just predicting they're all going to come back. More advertisements, more people being ripped off, more BitConnect type cloud mining scams. And the problem with cloud mining scams is not only that stunt that I just mentioned, but also, the returns on investment. The other day I made a video, okay, like 3 weeks ago about cloud mining. Is it actually a scam or not? And I showed mathematically it does not work. An investor in real estate, an investor in stock market, investor in any type of industry would not invest in such a type of scam because they're ripping you off. But of course, people, okay, they don't care because most people think, oh yeah, I'm going to get passive income. It's like they're thinking this is a savings account or some like real estate internet investment. No, it's not an investment. These websites basically tell you in the terms of agreements that you have a long-term contract, lifetime contract. The other day I had someone contacting me, okay, about cloud mining. Okay, I think it's like in the comments section, and he told me he wants to sue them because they're trying, they terminated his contract, and in their like terms of agreement it's like written they are not responsible. Okay, you can go to their terms of agreements and actually look at visualize what's happening. So cloud mining, whatever company out there, whatever, their CEO is, or whatever team, whatever location, whatever electricity rate, miners, whatever you want, it will not work mathematically. And, you're not owning that miner. For example, let's take one ASIC, for example, the S9. The S9 pumps about 14.5 terahashes. Now, if you go on Genesis mining site, okay, and you're buying a Bitcoin mining lifetime, with big, quotations, okay, lifetime contract, what you're going to get, for example, is like, 10 gigahashes is the minimum. So every miner has like 100 owners. Imagine that. So how, like, even if the owners like want the miners delivered to them, how will they get these miners? These miners are mine. I paid that contract. Okay, if we're looking at it, they're telling you own your own miner. Okay, let's host your miner. Okay, and some websites go as far as, just buy this miner and we will host it for you. And then they would sell more contracts for other people. So it's all just all around scams. And their websites, just like you mentioned with like IRM or Ice Rock Mining, okay, trying to get things more commercial and, we're mining in a cave. They never mined in a cave. Right now they're like looking on a facility. Until then, they still did not pay any dividends to like investors. Okay, a lot of people got scammed. It has been scientifically proven that, a cave cannot host miners because you're then going to have a lot of damp conditions, okay, because of the heat. and, it's cold and heat, you're going to have a lot of, humidity. So most miners will run into problems. And in any way, shape, or form, I always say trade yourself, invest yourself, and mine yourself. So that's
Well
the
said.
best way looking at it.
If I could go back in time, all the money I spent on cloud mining, and again, I was probably very lucky because I got in early and got some pretty reasonable returns. But if I
Yeah.
could go back in time, I just would have simply bought crypto. In fact, I wouldn't have even invested the same money in my ASIC miners. I'm glad I did because as a non-engineer, I now have a very sound understanding of how the blockchain mine or how you mine on the blockchain and how it works. And it's not because I went to university and got my degrees in cryptographics and looking at these algorithms and how we mined in electronic engineering. It's because when you buy your own miner and put it in your own hands and you are watching this thing making money or losing money, and what I mean by losing money is if you're burning electricity and you're not properly connected up, you are literally burning money. So as a result, when you mine yourself, you very quickly learn how it all works very quickly because it's make or break. And I agree that in a lot of these mines these mining setups, they're like, well, I can just put some money in it and then retire and all this money is going to pour in. I wouldn't advise anyone at any stage gets into cloud mining again. But to close this off, Mark, if you did want to get into mining, so for me, I've got big property and big space and big electricity with my solar, and I'm even looking at getting some batteries, which still wouldn't be enough to run it. I can physically put in ASIC miners. And anyone who asks me on my channel, like, should I get an ASIC miner? I never just say yes or no. I'm like, what's your property like? What's your space like? How much can you monitor it? How are you going to handle the heat, the noise? Heaps. But with GPU and CPU miners, for our viewers out there, if I live in an apartment and let's say I've got a spare couple of $1,000, what would you recommend if they wanted to get into mining, even if it were for a hobby? And I like how you said hobby mining because there are some programs out there like Honey Miner, and I made a video on Honey Miner, which certainly isn't a way that you'd make huge money. It's just a bit of fun that you can run on.
It's like hobby mining.
Yeah, it is. You're just running it in the background. But if you want to go a bit further up from free Bitcoin mining on like Honey Miner, how would you recommend that people do it? What would they buy, and what would it look like in a small space?
So you're saying like if they had like thousands or like couple $1,000 they want to invest in GPU mining?
Yeah, let's say $2,000 for argument's sake. Let's say our viewers have $2,000 and they've got some Bitcoin, they've got some other cryptos, but they're like, no, I want to get into this mining thing. If they're not getting an ASIC miner, which is, let's face it, the ultimate power of mining, what would they do?
Yes.
What would their first step be?
Yes, so the first step is, I always like GPU mining, okay, for starters, because you gain a lot of skills, hardware skills and all that stuff. But if you want to start and you have like, for example, $2,000, $3,000, which is a great budget, I suggest, you keep, like $1,000 or $500, on the side so you can pay electricity from your money. Remember, okay, you have to pay electricity and accumulate cryptocurrency. So you're going to make that much more, of an option. Okay, so you can accumulate cryptocurrency and it increases up in value and you get all that stuff. But if you want to get into mining, okay, particularly, we will look at different stuff. Now, the first thing is, building the mining rig. You will have to get a mining rig frame. I suggest to get like an i5 core Intel, CPU. For example, also you can get the H110 BTC Pro K motherboard that you can put on it, your GPUs. It has like a couple openings, like maybe 8 cards, 6 cards, I'm not sure. Okay, last time I checked. Also, you can use 4, 8, 16, 32 gigabytes worth of RAM on your computer, or mining rig. Okay, use 4, I suggest, because mining doesn't have to do with, RAM. It has been tested by many miners. Okay, and I'm speaking from experience. RAM doesn't do anything. Okay, it's just on the side for something else. So anyways, you get used GPUs. Now, what used GPUs would you get? Now, you would go, for example, on eBay. Okay, we look at the best offers. Now, I make a lot of videos about these GPU mining things. So if you want to see about that stuff, I keep uploading all that stuff. So I keep always recommending when you go on eBay, do not buy, from a bid, okay, some like bids, if they have any bids, so buy it directly. If the seller isn't reputable, do not buy from them. If the seller is selling 6 GPUs at once, you should know that that seller is a miner. He's a scammer, okay? Not a scammer particularly, but because he's selling mining GPUs and he's not telling you, that's misleading, okay? That's misleading advertising. Okay, another thing I want to talk about is that if they're saying only for gaming, you would know that they're also, trying to, misleading. So getting a good deal, okay, a golden deal is really easy. It's just that you need to use your instinct, you need to use your knowledge, and you need to use all that stuff. It's all about factors, okay, in this game. So you get, RX 570s, okay, 8 gigabytes, okay, 4 gigabytes, and you put them in your mining rig and you start mining, you start making money. And these GPUs are so cheap. They're dirt cheap right now. RX 570s, RX 580s, because they're used, okay, from gamers and all that stuff. So you can get one for $100. That's how cheap it is. And if we go right here on just 1 second, I want to show you something, guys, that if we go right here, okay, and if we calculate what an RX 570 can make, it could make 72 cents per day revenue. Okay, that's after, before electricity cost. So you could make 72 cents for a miner that is $100, okay, worth, okay, per GPU if you have free electricity. But if you don't have free electricity, okay, you will have to pay electric rate. So it's like if it's 12 cents electric rate per kilowatt hour, okay, you would like pay the electricity and you will have the other money you put in your pocket. So you could buy like, a 6-card rig easily. $600 would go into RX 570s, okay, and the rest can go, to the extras like, the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM, and, some storage, of course, some SSD, okay, and you're good to go. You start with one mining rig. You test it out 3 months in. How much have I made? And, there's an important skill, okay, when it comes to actually mining. It's actually, how can I say it? It's more of a money management skill. So you have to manage how much money is coming in, how much cryptocurrency you're mining. If I want to sell cryptocurrency, what price do I sell it at? There's a lot of factors, okay, and there's a lot of things to take into account, okay, and if you're living in a small area, okay, you get one mining rig first. You test out how much heat, okay? You can also control how much of your miner can go into performance. So you could actually make your cards mine 50% than 100%. But, you will get less profitable. But if you really care about noise and heat and all those factors, you can underclock your cards. You can BIOS mod your cards. There's a lot of softwares out there that will help you in performance relative to electricity. So I really like the model of starting with one GPU mining rig and then going from there.
Yeah, I think what I got a lot out of that, particularly when it comes to buying it. Don't dive in head first. Start off small and build your way up. The advice that I'd give from my own experience to our viewers is don't buy from China. Just if you'll see, you can go on like Alibaba, and you'll see even on eBay and other places. It's nothing against the good people in China. I'm just speaking from first-hand experience. If you buy from someone who's not big or you can't check first and it's in China, there is a very, 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 very high chance that you will send your money and never get the product. And if you do that, viewers, if you ever do pay on credit card, report it to the bank immediately. Explain that you've been ripped off, and you can actually get your money back that way. That's the advantage of paying with credit card. But of course, if you buy these things with crypto, once you've sent it, it is gone. The money is gone forever. Mark, I've taken up a lot of your time, and I actually look forward to doing this again. I guess in some way, I again wanted to thank you for my journey with you. We started off small together. Your channel is growing exponentially, and I'm very grateful for the money that you've made me and for the companionship we've had as a crypto brother. To our viewers, we've never actually met. We've never met in person. As mentioned, we are on the other side of the world to each other. But in crypto land, it doesn't really matter. Everything sort of operates on the internet, and I really hope that in the future, in the next bull run, we're going to go to the next level of mining, where we're going to see different types of mining companies coming out there beyond Bitmain and beyond the GPUs and CPUs that are, as we know, in the last bull run, GPUs went through the roof. They were so expensive. If you wanted to get video cards, it was beyond control. And I felt really sorry for the people in the gaming space who were simply just trying to update their computers with any part, mainly through the GPUs for their gaming machines. And they were caught in this crossfire of people like me coming in, who I'm not a gamer, but I did want this particular part of the computer so I could do my own GPU mining on my desktop. And in fact, I set up 2 desktops further to my ASIC mining farm out the back. And in the future, I think what will actually happen is, when we get the next bull run, we may in fact see this GPU war happen again, where suddenly GPUs are just cleaned off the shelf while people and I build these rigs. Mark, is there anything else you want to close off for our viewers out there before we bring this to an end?
Yes, in the end, I want to just say, guys, I'm really thankful for actually, this, collaboration with Adam and actually making this possible and making this interview. But, I have just one point that really, just makes me a bit uncomfortable. I think I have to say it out there, okay, in terms of, everyone. If you want to buy an ASIC, okay, always take into account that your ASIC can render obsolete or could actually become really profitable. With GPUs, your GPU cannot go obsolete unless it's, an AMD card. For example, an RX 570 only mines on ETH hash, and it focuses on that. Let's say ETH hash, next day just disappears, okay? Ethereum goes down, or some difficulty bomb, or who knows, whatever factors there are in life. So what we're going to have is that, with GPU mining, it's much more less risk. Now, yes, it's much more less profitability. Maybe we're talking in the cents. Maybe we're talking in the tens of dollars only a month. But when we talk about ROI, return on investment, we always need to focus on what is the risk to reward ratio, because there have people, okay, mind you, that have been burned a year ago by Monero miners. Monero forked actually to 4 forks, okay, to like Monero X and Monero whatever it is, like 4 Moneros, okay, all types of forking. And, that rendered a new generation of ASICs obsolete, and the difficulty just went from a peak of the peaks to the, lows of the lows. It was really, really funny, and people started mining on their GPUs, making a lot of money, tens and thousands, we're talking about hundreds of dollars, okay, a day if you're mining, in your GPU mining farm, because the difficulty gone so low, because when it forks, the ASICs cannot work anymore, they do not work. So there's a lot of risk to actually owning ASIC, but always I suggest, to stick to Bitcoin mining ASICs, because let's face it, SHA-256 will not go anywhere, and Bitcoin is the pioneer of all cryptocurrencies. So if you're really, stubborn on starting your own Bitcoin or cryptocurrency mining in general, try a Bitcoin mining ASIC. Do not go anywhere near other types of ASICs, okay, in terms of cryptocurrencies, others, because you don't want to fall into a lot of risk. If you're willing to take the risk, well, it's not financial advice. We do whatever you want. You are the person who controls your money. You are the person who should be diligent about, what's profitable, what's not profitable, and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, I want you to actually look at the risk to reward ratios, and I think I want to close with this.
That's a really good point. I think with I agree. When my ASIC miners expired, as I mentioned, I had 16 running at once, but you're dead right. Once certain algorithms stopped, except the SHA-256 is the Mac Daddy, and all my S9s are still mining away on the SHA-256, and I've also got L3 miners mining Litecoin on the script algorithm. But essentially, other miners, Sirecoin miners as an example, once it became unprofitable or the machine died, the only thing that I was left with as a tangible commodity, if you will, was the power supply unit. So the PSU is pretty much the only thing I could keep for my next ASIC miner, provided that it was compatible with a Bitmain miner that I could actually plug it straight into. Whereas if with my GPUs, and I've actually just upgraded my computer, and my old computer, is filled with these magnificent GPUs that are absolutely glorious, and they still hold a real market value comparative to my ASIC miners that are essentially $3,000 paperweights. Luckily for me, though, I mined when the difficulty was relatively low, when it was quite low initially in the difficulty and the challenge of getting the Bitcoins out of the algorithm, and I thank the crypto gods, I actually made profits. Viewers, I want to make sure that you check out Mark Luther's channel. We've been scrolling through this during the talk. The channel is called Bittruth. There will be a link to this below. My name's Adam Stokes. If you're watching this video, come check out my channel. Consider giving this a like and subscribe and hitting that bell, whether you're watching it on Mark's channel or my channel. Mark, I'm very grateful, and I look forward to making more money with you, either through investments, good tips, or of course mining, which is what we're about. I really appreciate you joining me. Closing out remarks for you, my friend.
I hope that you also check my viewers, okay, check Adam's videos, and he posts a lot of decent videos that I think really could help you in terms of investing, because the other day he talked about the most dangerous thing in the cryptocurrency world, okay, like the US dollar tether, and to be honest, that video really delivered, okay, on the risks of the USDT. And at the time, I actually had a lot of US dollar tether. I actually transitioned to diversify my portfolio a bit. So really a lot of helpful tips and a lot of insight, okay, a lot of experience that's going to be transferred to you, okay, from, us, that have been in the cryptocurrency market, for a couple of years now. It really feels, really great.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I think where we get a lot out of each other, and the whole crypto community, is that together, some people are good in this area, other people are good in that area, and other people are good in a different area, but together we have this synergistic relationship that creates an area where 1 + 1 = more than 2, and together we all move forward. Mark, great talking to you. Viewers, thanks for listening. Happy investing. We'll talk to you next time.